Zen Ray here. Welcome, Nick Nation, my band of brothers. We'll be on with Juby the Tubi family above everything in a few. I want to welcome you all here. We've been hearing some crazy uh, up deals or up deals that Danny Ainge wants to make with New York. It's ridiculous. We're going to put that on in a few. And we have a recent report from Shams talking about how the Knicks walked away from this deal 2 weeks ago. So stand by. We'll be back with Juby the Tubi, family above everything.
It'll create itself. Gotta get underground. Gotta put in that work so you can make it count. It'll create itself. Gotta get underground. Gotta put in that work so you can make it count. It don't create itself, I'm sure you know. Many ideas and your body just blow. If you don't put it work, you never know. If you don't take a step, you never grow. You just keep dreaming about it and go, but you never put a foot on the road. Gotta be ready, you gotta be bold. Pick up a shovel and dig up a hole. You got a power, you gonna divide.
Welcome back. Zen Ray here. We'll be on with Juby the Tubi. Let me put him on. But before we go on, it's just a lot of craziness. This is the latest, and I'll put Shams report that came out a couple of hours that Danny Ainge is trying to coerce the Knicks to make a deal, a hefty package for the three-time All-Star, Donovan Mitchell. Ainge is reportedly hoping to get 7 to 8 first-rounders and RJ Barrett. That's why Leon Rose walked away. So here's Juby to express his opinion in Nick Nation. Welcome. Juby the Tubi, family above everything, welcome. Did you hear the latest from Danny Ainge? And that's why the Knicks haven't been negotiating with Utah for the last couple of weeks. Do you blame them? Look at this hefty package they're asking for. 7 to 8 first-rounders and RJ Barrett.
Nick Nation, mi familia, how you guys doing tonight? Appreciate you guys for having me on. Zen Ray from Zen Ray Sports TV. It's good to be here. But listen, Danny Ainge is out of his mind, ladies and gentlemen. Forget the draft picks. Salute to everybody in the chat. We appreciate you guys for joining us tonight. And, it has been very quiet the last few weeks, and we kind of know why it's been quiet since that crazy Thursday that we had where that rumor speculation came out from that Utah Jazz broadcaster stating that the Knicks deal was done. It comes to find out, like you said, Zen Ray, that Danny Ainge is asking for 7 to 8 picks along with Mr. Broadway himself, RJ Barrett. And just hearing that, for me personally, no. RJ Barrett is the man. He's the future, and I can't go with that.
And I'm going to tell you what the Minions think about this. It's pretty laughable, if you say the least. This is what the Minions think about that last deal, wanting Barrett and 7 to 8 first-rounders. Pretty ridiculous. And I think Danny Ainge is also out of control. And this is what happens to people out of control. Oh, yeah. So, Nick Nation, what do you think? Give us your opinion. Is this deal ever going to happen? I know I put a video out earlier, the Wild West at the OK Corral. This is what Leon Rose is doing. He's dealing his best deck of cards out to Danny Ainge. But Danny Ainge is not a reasonable negotiator. And this is what I said in our last show, Juby. You have to walk away from him. And I want to welcome G-Man. What's up, Papa PR? G-Man, welcome.
Hello, G-Man.
Oh, yes. Compadre de Puerto Rico.
Let's go.
Let's go, G-Man. I appreciate you being here, brother. So, G-Man, give me your opinion about this crazy deal that Danny Ainge is asking for. 7 to 8 picks and RJ Barrett. That's pretty laughable, if you ask me.
I feel like I'm there with the Minions right now.
Thank you, G-Man. Kareem Grant salutes, bro. How you doing, Kareem? Nice having
Kareem,
you here.
salute.
Listen, give me your opinion, Kareem. Danny Ainge wants to rape Nick Nation. 7 to 8 first rounders and RJ Barrett. That's pretty laughable. Thank you, Kareem, for being here, brother. Carrie Cooper.
Carrie.
Salute, guys. Salute to the chat. Carrie, appreciate you being here. I love that Frazier flag of the Knicks, number 10, hanging in the Raptors. Thank you, Carrie. I appreciate you. Carrie, that's utter nonsense and madness. I agree. I said it best last week. You get a person who's can't negotiate properly and is trying to rape you from all your draft assets and players on the team, RJ Barrett, then it was Obi Toppin and Grimes. You have to walk away. Come back to us when you're sensible, because right now you're pretty much out of control. Curry, I appreciate you. Juby, give me your insight of what's really going on. What's Danny Ainge doing? Does he have another team that he can make this trade with? Because it seems like he's being very unreasonable, Juby.
He's lost in the sauce right now. Let me tell you guys, there's a domino effect in the NBA that's waiting to happen right now. And this is why Donovan Mitchell to New York hasn't happened yet. Everybody's kind of looking at each other and waiting to see what's going to happen with Kevin Durant. He is the domino effect in the NBA right now. Everybody wants Kevin Durant, except for the Knicks. So, we don't even touch that nonsense. But a lot of teams like Miami, Atlanta, Toronto are all looking at Kevin Durant. Once that takes place, and either he stays in Brooklyn or he gets traded to a destination, you're going to see everything else start to happen. As far as Danny Ainge, he's working as a Utah Jazz general manager. He's asking for the best of the best. Do I think he's lost in the sauce? Absolutely. But you can't blame the guy for asking. Doesn't mean that it's going to happen. That's what he wants. He wants 8 draft picks. And I got to be honest with you guys, it's not the draft picks that bother me. I told you guys personally, my opinion, 6, 7 draft picks, I'm okay with giving up as long as we keep the young core. But when you want 6, 7, 8 draft picks and you want RJ Barrett and you want, who else knows what he wants? He probably wants a chopped cheese from New York, free parking. He wants, charter service. This guy is just crazy. They call him for assassin for a reason. If I'm Leon Rose, you know what? I gave you guys such a hard time about him. I applaud him right now for just saying gracefully, you know what? Are you crazy? We ain't giving you RJ Barrett. You want to come, like you said, come back to us when you're ready. Do your investigation with everybody else in the NBA. Once you realize that Donovan Mitchell is worth 5 draft picks and maybe 2 players, he'll come back to realize that the Knicks have the best package to offer.
I agree. Kerry Cooper says it best. That's utter nonsense. Thank you, Kerry, once again.
100%.
Kareem, I give that a Randall's thumbs down on that deal. Yes.
I like that.
I say that. A double thumbs down.
Double.
If there's such thing, I don't think Randall has done. I think he did a double thumbs down on New York. I think when he went by. So I think he did a double thumbs down on New York. But thank you, Kareem. I appreciate you. G-Man, that's crazy. Shaking my head. Danny's on something serious. Yeah. He's on something serious. I don't know what Utah is serving out there, but
I was just gonna say that we don't know what kind of alcohol or non-alcoholic beverages. We don't advertise alcohol, but we don't know what he's on.
Yeah, I agree. And his minions can't stop laughing on that nonsense that he's on over there, and he's asking for the house. I mean, he's the type of guy. He wants the house, the dog, and your wife if you can get that as well, and it'll probably throw that in the deal as well, but. Die Hard Knicks podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I want you, when you get a chance. I recently started watching Die Hard Knicks podcast, and check him out, man. Very intelligent, knowledgeable Knick fan. I mean, he is a devoted Knick fan. Welcome, my friend.
Welcome.
Die Hard Knicks podcast saying Ainge is trying to con a con artist. Leon's been around the block a few times. I agree. People don't realize. He was a CAA agent. I mean, he dealt with contracts. He dealt with players and negotiations. I mean, like Die Hard says, I mean, he's been around the block. It's just not his first rodeo. So he's going to walk away and let Danny Ainge try to find the best offer out there. It's not going to come from New York because he's asking for too much. Hey, Die Hard, we'll set up some arrangements to get together. But thank you for coming on, brother. Kerry Cooper, K2 is hell of drugs. Danny boy must be smoking. Yes, Kerry, he's smoking something really good. Maybe one of those Caribbean blunts or something, man. I know in
that
PR,
hookah,
man.
That hookah was sign up.
Yeah, I don't think you have that kind of stuff, man. We have the coquille, man, the frog, man, but that'll keep you up at night. But the stuff he's smoking, man, woo, we'll find out. Thank you, Kerry. Kareem Grant, no doubt. Leon got experience. Yes, he does. Die Hard, yes, we shall, my friend. We'll get together, man. We'll get together, and we'll make things happen, Die Hard. I appreciate you, brother. Legacy, salute, fellas, salute. Salutes to you. Thank you for coming on.
Salute, brother.
Give me your opinions, man. Danny Ainge is trying to rape New York, man. Big time. Let me know. Juby, do you think, seriously, before the season starts, do you think Donovan Mitchell will be in a Knicks uniform? If you had to take a guess right now.
Am I educated? Educated again. Again, this is just educated guess. I think he does. Because I think Danny Ainge is gonna maybe come to a realization. Listen, Utah's tanking. There's no doubts about it. Look at the players they got back with that Minnesota Timberwolves package. It's a bunch of role players. They got draft capital, and that was what it was about, because they're trying to draft this 7'6" center that's coming out of college next year, and they want to be in the top 3 in the lottery to try to get him. So they're gonna tank. I mean, you can't come out and say that you're gonna tank, live to the public, but that's what they're gonna do. So with Donovan Mitchell, they can't tank like that. So they're gonna try to definitely trade him. But me personally, guys, I'm like I told Zenry right before we came on, I'm at the point where I'm ready to just board my train and just ride with the youngsters. Obi, RJ, Brunson, quickly, and even Mr. Thumbs Down Randall. Like this guy said, I'm ready to just roll with the team we got, and let's see what we got, and just move on, because it's getting ridiculous, this asking price that this guy's asking for. He's not a LeBron James, he's not a Michael Jordan, he's not a Kobe Bryant. He's a great player. He's a Scottie Pippen, if you will. So Danny Ainge needs to come back to reality, like I said, and just understand that at the end of the day, the Knicks have the best possible package for him. And believe it or not, the ball is in our court.
I totally agree, Juby. So I'm going to put the Shams report. This came out a few hours back, and this is the latest on what's happening with the Donovan Mitchell deal.
As of right now, sources tell me that talks between the Jazz and the Knicks around a Donovan Mitchell trade have stalled out. I'm told there hasn't been contact between the two sides in roughly the last 2 weeks. And Brooke, this is right now. This is current. These things can always be fluid, but this is where it stands right now. And clearly there's really no movement as of yet on the Mitchell to the Knicks front. But in the meantime, I'm told that the Jazz are continuing conversations with other teams that are interested in Mitchell, teams like Charlotte and Washington, I'm told. But overall, throughout this entire process, the Knicks have been the focus of many around the league, including the Jazz, when it comes to Donovan Mitchell, because they have 8 first-round draft picks at their disposal to use via trade. They have a couple young players like Quentin Grimes, Obi Toppin that could be of interest to teams around the league, including the Jazz, in a deal for Donovan Mitchell. So all eyes will continue to be on the Knicks as a potential suitor, but as of right now, no new movement on Mitchell to the Knicks.
Okay.
Listen, right now, I think we're going to be going into the season with Jalen Brunson. He's going to lead the team. He's going to make, Randall better. He's going to make Fournier. There's going to be a lot of more spacing on the floor. We finally have a general, a person guiding the ship to the promised land. So we don't get Donovan Mitchell, but we have something very, very, very close to a Donovan Mitchell, and this is the man we're speaking about tonight.
This is the second. Barrett the rebound. 5-point game. Barrett drives on Westbrook, gets inside and throws it down.
Mr. Bull himself.
Left hand.
Come on. Leave my guy alone, man.
Knick Nation. Do we actually need Donovan Mitchell? Yes, we probably enhance the process a little faster, but let's build with the youth. We have a leader out there in RJ Barrett. He showed in the last 3 years, he's just getting better and better and better. And I say we keep the youth and do not mortgage our youth for one player. Juby, I think the Knicks and Leon Rose, he's playing chess. He sometimes plays a little Chinese checkers in the draft, but he's a chess player. We'll let Danny Ainge continue playing checkers. So here is Kareem Grant. So do you think this deal is done? Are we ready to move on? Listen, I'm ready to move on.
I'm ready to move on too.
I'm ready to move on. I'm tired of this back and forth. Danny Ainge, when you become reasonable, come back to Leon Rose and sit down and negotiate and be reasonable about what players and what picks you want. Come back to us. Listen, we have all the leverage in the world. Thank you, Kareem. The Smoking Nick salutes. Thank you. G-Man, we really love Mitch on the Knicks, but not for RJ and 8 picks. What the F? This is what this man thinking. 6, 7 picks at most. Evan Grimes and McBride. Look, I hate to give up Grimes, but like Juby says, you have to give something to get some return. Listen, that I'll do that. I'll do that, and I won't throw him 7 picks. I'll throw him between 5 and 6 the most.
I was just gonna say that you want 7 picks, then guess what? We're only gonna give you an Evan and a McBride and a Cam, and not a Grimes, and then we can maybe talk about 6 to 7. But if you want a Grimes and you want a McBride kind of deal, you're taking 2 out of our 4 young prospects, then you better tone that draft pick down to 4 or 5, 6. But even then, guys, I'm getting to a point like Zenray say that we just have to kind of move on, realize and roll with what we got. We got a great team, exciting team, a young team, and we got a floor general who I'm not a betting man, but if I was to sit there and evaluate the last few seasons and the playoffs that he's had, the kid has the potential to make the All-Star. I mean, I'm even going to go that far ahead and say that because he's going to have players like Obi where he can lob the ball to Mitchell Robinson who he can lob the ball to, Evan Fournier from the corner. You know what I mean? He can create his own shot. It's going to be fine. I mean, I thought a week ago, I was all like ready to, I was even considering saying, you know what, guys, let's give up Obi. We got to give something to get something. But at this point, I don't even want to entertain Danny Ainge's nonsense anymore. Unless he takes, like I said, one of our guys and some draft picks and a Cam Reddish and Evan Fournier, then that's fine. But if not, it's time to move on. Let him ride off into the sunset, and let's take it down the hole.
I agree with G-Man, man. G-Man, thank you for your comment. That's a reasonable trade. I won't go about as far as 7 picks, but I'll go 5, maybe 6.
Yeah.
And thank you, G-Man. Smoking Nick, salute, guys. Salutes to you, sir. Thank you for coming on. Give us your opinion, man, on this outlandish Danny Ainge wanting 7, 8 picks and RJ Barrett. Ooh, man, I think it's time to walk, man. It's time to walk. Turn your back and try to just build this team the way you're doing it, man. Thank you, Smoking Nick. Appreciate you, brother. Salute, brother Smoke. All right. G-Man. I want to keep Quick and Obi together at that second unit. Yeah, man, that second unit. Keep Obi and Quick, man. Juby, this second unit can be something very, very, very special. I wanted to put a podcast from Russell's podcast. Check what he says about making this trade. Check him out. Hold on.
We're to grab Donovan Mitchell. That's a good thing. All right. Like if I had one sentence on this, I am for the Knicks getting Donovan Mitchell. I don't know what the price will be, but we all know how this works. Now, I think not just in basketball, not specific to this trade, but the way these things are talked about, I think there's a lot of us walking around that like to offer up problems for not even solutions, just things that are presented, right? Because what I've heard and what you will hear if Mitchell were to end up on the Knicks, or maybe, I don't know if something else could happen here, but it would be immediately met with, well, you're going to win a championship with Donovan Mitchell? And the answer is no. The answer is no. All right? There's no guarantees whatsoever. But I've always felt like as you get a little bit older and you'll talk to people like, oh, I'm thinking about doing this or I'm thinking about doing this. There's too many people that their first instinct is to think of why the thing that you're talking about won't work. And there's still a really good chance. Like, it's the easiest thing in the world to do. Like, again, if we stay with basketball, when I've seen debate shows talk about players and say the one guy really likes the player and the other guy isn't as high on the player, the other guy is always going to win the argument by countering by saying, does that player guarantee you a championship? Think about what you're asking. Like, that means the guy defending the player has to say, yes, I am guaranteeing a championship. Winning is fucking hard. It is really, really hard. So if the criteria for any transaction is that it has to win a championship, then the guy that calls it out gets to win the arguments all the time, because it's a really easy argument to make and the odds are always in your favor.
Ryan makes a good point. Does Donovan Mitchell guarantee us a championship? Does it guarantee us even an Eastern Conference game going possibly to the championship game? It doesn't. So why not build with the youth, especially Danny Ainge? It's just being really, really out of control, and it's pretty much laughable. It really is.
You know what's funny, Zenray? When you evaluate our team and you evaluate the teams that are in the NBA right now, you evaluate LeBron James, and LeBron James has Anthony Davis, but LeBron James is one of the greatest to play the game right now in our era right now. Besides, of course, my era, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and a lot of us who watch that. But it just comes to show you that not one man wins a basketball game. So we can get a LeBron James or we can get a Michael Jordan. I mean, Michael Jordan had a great supporting cast. He had Scottie Pippen, Steve Kerr, Ron Harper, Dennis Rodman, Kukoc. Kobe Bryant had Paul Gasol. He had Shaq one year. So you always have a supporting cast. So for us to give up our whole farm, like you guys like to say, or even RJ Barrett, and mess up that whole nucleus that we have right now. I mean, like I told you guys, you have to be thick-skinned to play here. RJ Barrett has shown it. In the last 3 seasons, he's gone up in average points, in shooting, and in leadership, and he's ready to take this city by storm. And listen, like I said, and I'm going to keep saying it, RJ Barrett and Obi Toppin, there's no way I'm including them in a Donovan Mitchell trade.
I agree. Let me just say, the Knicks they're building this team the correct way. Don't let a Danny Ainge come in and just destroys, like I mentioned in last week's show, Scott Perry, Scott Layton, Isaiah Thomas would have made this trade 2 weeks ago, and they would have got the best of New York. Yes, we would have had Donovan Mitchell, but they would have depleted. They would have depleted the youthfulness of having Obi and Quickly and a Grimes in that second unit. You know, Grimes is going to be a starter. If Fournier somehow, some way gets dealt, Grimes just comes right in. He's probably with RJ Barrett, because RJ Barrett always defends the best player on the team. But I have to say, like, Grimes is like, if I had to take a guess between Mitchell and Grimes, they're probably the best defenders on that team. So to give up a Grimes, that defensive type of guy, we have something special here, Knick Nation. And I don't think we should just give it away just to try to get Donovan Mitchell. Die Hard Knick podcast. We're ready to start the season now without a trade. We have a solid potential 10-man rotation. Yes. Obi and Quickly and Grimes coming off that bench, that's a pretty powerful stuff. And let me just mention Hartenstein. Let me just put a little interview of Hartenstein and his dedication to playing basketball.
Personal, I mean, every time I think I put on a jersey, I'm playing more than just myself. I mean, you're playing for the organization, you're playing for the city, you're playing for the fans. So every night, every time I put on a jersey, I just try to play my hardest and do whatever the team needs to win.
Look, people underrate the fact that he's backing up Mitchell Robinson. This guy in the second unit, Hartenstein, is going to be something special. He spreads the floor and he shoots the three. So the question is, Knick Nation, the question is Mitchell Robinson likely to start shooting three-pointers in the game? No. Hartenstein is going to be doing that. I have a feeling this year Mitchell Robinson is spreading the floor.
I just say that just because of track record. And it'll surprise me if Mitchell Robinson gets the freedom to do it. But Tom Thibodeau has a certain way of coaching. And yeah, he went a little bit flexible with the young guys playing last season. We'll see how that goes because injuries and our record made him play the young guys. But as far as Mitchell Robinson, he's been basically advertising that he has more to his game than just an inside man who can alley-oop and dunk. And he's been saying that for 2-3 seasons. And we haven't seen him take not even a 15-foot jump shot, really. And we see it like Hoodie Mello. We see it in practice all the times, the films. We see him, dribbling the ball and shooting jump shots. But when it comes to the game, it's like something tells him, do not shoot the ball. Your job is to basically grab rebounds, block shots, and catch and catch the dime and throw it in the hole. So I'll be surprised if I see him out on that 25-foot line shooting a 3-point shot. I don't know about you guys.
Billy the GOAT, welcome. Thank you for coming on. If Leon walks away and Miami gets Spider, Leon will be fired. I don't think that's going to happen, Billy. This organization is pretty tight. They have something special going. Billy, if you were the GM and you were in Leon Rose's shoes, would you make that trade? I don't think so. I don't think any knowledgeable Knicks fan. I know, Billy, you're knowledgeable. Spider is not going to the Heat. The Heat they don't have the assets. They're going to come back to New York. New York has the best options. We have all the leverage in the world. I don't see what they want from the Heat. I don't see it. They can't give draft capital. They can't give the players we can give. They don't want no big contracts coming back, really. So, Billy, I respectfully disagree with you, but thank you, brother. I appreciate it, Billy. Thanks for coming on. Salutes, Kareem. Yes, let's run with the young squad to see what we truly have and then take off the season. Listen, I think the Knicks can be a very underrated team this year. I think the Knicks, with this youthfulness and the key is, you mentioned all those teams before with the Bulls and the Lakers. Remember, they were very well coached teams. They had Phil Jackson there. So the key ingredient to this Knicks team thriving is Tom Thibodeau. Now, I can see Tom Thibodeau being fired. I mean, I think Leon Rose leash is much longer. I think Tom Thibodeau will probably not get fired. I think he'll probably, since he's Leon Rose's buddy, he'll get a job in the organization, and you see Johnny Bryant coming in. I can see that happening, but seeing Leon Rose being fired, I don't see that happening. Kareem, I agree with you, man. I agree with you 100%. Thank you. Kerry Cooper. Yes, let's move on with the original plan. Continue developing the youth. Danny Boy will be begging us to take him before the season starts.
Facts.
Totally agree, Kerry. Thank you. Nick Yak, Leon moved on 2 weeks ago, and we're so far apart. Danny won't move off the 6 picks, and Leon won't move off 3. Haven't spoken since. Yeah, that's the unfortunate part. I think this is a good game of chess, and right now,
it's a staring contest.
Exactly. Who blinks? Who blinks first?
Who blinks first?
Thank you, Nick Yak. If we ride with the young core, we won't even make the play-in. Our young core isn't that good. Knicks fans like to hype up guys. Well, you saw Obi Toppin last year in the last 7 to 8 games. Look, we're not hyping our guys. I think right now the ball is in Tom Thibodeau's court, Juby. I think he's going to have a very, very good year, bounce back year, and trust young core of players coming in. Let's see what happens, Billy.
And guys, just 2 seasons ago, I know it was a play-in bubble. We were a 4th seed, but we had a point guard who can spread the floor, couldn't shoot a light out of his day. But that's what helped RJ and all the other players. We had an actual point guard, unlike last season where we had Alex Burke running the point guard 75% of the time. So as long as we got a floor general like we do now with Brunson, and we have Quickly who's developing that skill, and we still have Derrick Rose that we don't know if we're going to have him or if he's going to get hurt, but let's say hopefully we have him running with that second unit, and we still got McBride. We actually have some good, like Zenray said, we're going to have some good spacing. I still think we need one shooter. Even if we didn't get a Donovan Mitchell, we need a one shooter who can spread that offense and can spread the floor. If Cam Reddish is that guy and they give him the opportunity, it could be, but it's up to Tom Thibodeau to give him that playing time.
That's the key. Tom Thibodeau is the ace in the hole, man. He has to coach much better than he did last year. His decision making last year was pretty bad, but now you have a point guard to lead the team. So I think it's pretty easy to just throw Brunson out there and make things happen in the spacing. And this unit will cohesively work together to get into the playoffs this year. I'm pretty positive about that. And thank you, Nick Yak. Knicks don't have a closer. Spider is a closer. RJ can be that closer.
RJ is developing that, I think. I was just going to say that.
Eventually. But you're right. Right now, we don't have that closer. I agree with you, Billy. We don't have that closer yet. Can RJ Barrett be that closer? I think so.
But I got a little joke for you, too, and just something. I know you watched the playoffs last season. Did the Spider close against Dallas, or did Brunson close them out? I'm just saying, Brunson had a great series against Spider.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell had a bad series, and we all had days like that. So, I mean, as much as we can easily criticize Donovan Mitchell, look, man, he is. You mentioned in last week's show, man, he is a guy who can come in and can dominate offensively on this team.
He can.
And like Billy says, he is a closer on the team, because we don't right now. If you look at it, is Randall a closer on this team? He's hot and cold, man. He can be when his head is right, but he's not the type of closer you need. He's like a second, third option best. But Spider, he's a first option all the way. Thank you, Billy. I agree with you 100%. Thank you, Billy. If we give 8 picks, he's not getting no more the Fournier and Rose. Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of negotiation you have to give him. I don't mind, like Juby says, giving up the 8 picks. And then you make the contracts work by giving a Fournier and Rose. I think they're still going to want another young player, or maybe 2 besides that. But Smoking Nick, totally agree. Phillips, Danny Ainge trolling the Knicks. He sure is, man. He's trolling big time. Thank you, Phillips. Nick Yak, 6 picks don't sound stupid. No, look, it doesn't. But if you're asking for a Barrett and you ask for Grimes, you can't give up 6 picks. I wouldn't even deal a Grimes. I mean, I would deal Grimes, but not a Barrett in the combination. I mean, Grimes would probably be the last resource to get Mitchell here. I mean, you have to give something. I mean, would you give up a Grimes and quickly, Juby? And 6 picks? It's tough.
It's hard. Tough. I would give up a Grimes, McBride, and a Cam, and like 5 picks if that can get the deal done.
Yeah, I would do that. Yeah, and you keep Grimes here.
Quick, and you keep a Quickly and Obi Toppin here. You know what I mean, with that second unit, and you still get Spider. I would do something like that. But if that's what's holding up the deal, but I don't think that's it. I think Danny Ainge wants RJ. If he doesn't want RJ, he wants Grimes, Obi, and Quickly probably, and 6 to 7 round draft picks, which is just basically absurd.
Totally agree. Billy to go. The deal should be 6 picks, 3 unprotected, Fournier, Cam, and Deuce. Yes, Billy. Totally. I would do that. Where do I sign? I would do that. The question is, Danny Ainge won't do it. If you give him 6 picks, he's going to want at least 5 of them unprotected. At least 5. At least 5.
Well, I think we only have 4 unprotected, and that's our picks that we can offer. So
yeah, but the Dallas pick is unprotected.
Okay, so then that'll be 5.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Thank you, Billy. Yeah, it's tough. Thank you, Bill. So, Billy, Grimes and McBride aren't NBA ready. I think Grimes is. He's shown a lot. Definitely McBride is not ready. McBride needs a little more seasoning. And that could have all been done last year with Tom Thibodeau. He didn't trust McBride at all. And you can see why. I mean, he was pretty, defensively, he was there on it, off and on. He looked lost on the floor most of the time. But Grimes definitely, I think, is ready. McBride definitely is not ready. Let's see what he does this year. Even in the summer league, you saw McBride a little bit kind of hesitant and not really ready. So if he can't do it in the summer league, what makes you think he's going to do it in the NBA? So yeah, good point there, Billy. But Grimes, I think he's ready to take over that number 3 position on the floor. Thank you, Bill. Nick Yak, your closer was the league bottom in the last 5 minutes of the game. Ask Utah fans. Yeah, I mean, look, you have to look at Donovan. Every year he's been there, he's been in the playoffs. He's brought the team to the playoffs, hasn't taken to the Eastern Conference game, but listen, you get him to the playoffs every year, and that's all you can ask for a team to do. So hopefully you bring a player like Donovan here. You know the Knicks are going to be in the playoffs, and anything can happen in the playoffs. So, Nick Yak, let's see what happens, man. I'm up and down. I'm just tired of all these rumors and all the speculation. It's pretty tiresome. Let's move on, Nick Nation. Let's move on.
Facts.
Billy, Spider averaged 28 points in the playoffs. Name another Nick that has ever done that. Good point. Good point.
That's a valid point. But 28 points only got him to the first round, second round, years consistently. If you go back to the 90s Knicks, or even though my 90s Knicks didn't average 28 points, you had players like Patrick Ewing who averaged 19, 20. You had players like John Starks who averaged 16 and Mason 14. So like I said before, it's not a one-man show. It's a team-oriented game. And although Spider is a scoring machine and very talented, that is the reason why Dallas won against that Utah series, because Dallas had the complete team and Utah did not. Just saying.
And Rudy Gobert, for all the players and draft picks that was given to him, he kind of underperformed in the playoffs, man. He looked very shaky. Yeah. So Donovan Mitchell can't do it on his own. But I think you put him on this Knicks team. This Knicks team has talent, man. You know, if Randall plays his game, the space on the floor with Brunson, this team starting unit can be very, very powerful. The question is, how depleted would that second unit be? Yeah. Nick Yak, we're not giving any 1-8 picks. Well, Nick Yak, I'm willing to give 7-8 picks if we're only giving a play like Fournier and Rose in the deal. Then I would up the pick ante. I mean,
and even a Cam, as much as we like him and we see the potential, I'll do a Cam. I'll throw Cam in there, maybe like for 6 picks. But you know, I don't know, man. It's just so many speculations. It's just tiresome.
But let me break the ice a little bit. We have Kevin Hart here, and he's one of my favorite comedians. Check this out.
I've never seen nobody get hit with so much shit in my entire life. Ink. Hey, oh my God! He tried to kill this man. I've never seen nobody get hit with so much shit in my entire life. Ink. Hey, oh my God!
Hey, you can answer that question.
I'm telling you, man. I mean, that's Brunson, man. He can make you look silly on the floor, and I mean, he's the leader of this team right now. He is the guy. He's the guy who's going to make this Knicks team better. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell would be an asset on this floor, but let's see what happens. I know we're not smoking. I don't think we're gonna go there. No Knick has ever averaged 28 points in the playoffs, let alone regular season. Fans fall in love with role players. Yeah, we do, but you don't know what we have. I mean, Obi Toppin started last year when Randall was sitting on the bench on some called injury, and he performed very well. I wouldn't call Obi Toppin a role player. I wouldn't call even Grimes a role player. Would you call Quickly a role player? I don't know. We have to see what these kids are made of. Remember, they make the second unit very special, Billy. You know, I understand where you're coming from. I'm just curious, Billy. Are you a Knicks fan? I'm just curious. Are you a diehard Knicks fan? Let me know. And who is your favorite player right now, if you are a Knicks fan on this team right now? Thank you, Billy. Nick Yak. He took 15 threes in 62 games. How is that spreading the floor?
He's talking about Hartstein, right? I think that comment was for Hartstein when you said that he was going to spread the floor as a center.
Well, he is. He's a threat in the three-point range. I have to look up his numbers, but Nick Yak, I'll check that out. Die hard Nick Pat. Billy, go. We all want Donovan, but not lacing H's pockets. We can move on to the next potential move. It's uncomfortable because Donovan wants to be here. Yeah, I think, people are saying Juby, that he is not pushing the trade, but his camp is pushing this trade to New York. He wants to come to New York. So maybe
body
he's not
language
making
too.
waves. Yeah, but he's not making waves, but his camp is. So I think Danny Ainge will have no choice but to move him here unless he's going to start the season in Utah. Utah is going to be the worst team in the NBA. So I don't see Donovan during the season being very happy. Thank you, Die Hard. Appreciate you, brother. Nick,
He'll average 30 or maybe 35, but the rest of the team.
Yeah, but he'll be unhappy. He's going to be unhappy.
Yeah.
You know, and the worst team in the NBA, hey, we'll see what happens, Juby. This dude still believes we're getting Mitchell. How's Danny won't take less than 6 first rounds? Leon will never do that. Nick Yak, I totally agree, man. He's a special type of president we never had. I think the Knicks never experienced having a president running this team the way. And think what Leon Rose has done, you know, building this team. It's very special. Billy the GOAT, Miami can offer Hero, Robinson, and 3 unprotected picks. Pat Riley knows how to win. Listen, I can tell you, I can agree with you about Pat Riley. And I mentioned back in a few shows back, I was mentioning how Pat Riley wanted to stay a Knick. He just wanted a percentage of the team. And Dolan refused giving him a percentage. You know, I don't know what that percentage was. But Knick Nation, Pat Riley, if he stood here and he was president of this Knicks organization, we won't be having most of this conversation. The Knicks would have been in Eastern Conference games, plenty of, because he knows how to build a team. Look what he did to the Miami Heat. He went there, basically had no one, and he built that team to a championship team. The Knicks are still searching for that. So, yeah, Pat Riley knows how to win. I agree with that. Hero, Robinson, and 3 unprotected picks. When you can get 6 from the Knicks.
Yeah, I don't think respectfully to Miami fans out there, I don't think Tyler Hero is better than RJ Barrett. That's number one. I'm not saying that the Knicks will give up RJ Barrett.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that RJ Barrett's in the deal. And Robinson, it's a good player, you know, but I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Nick Yak, not play in the finish 4. Okay. Probably missed that. I'm behind the chat. Sorry, guys. G-Man 78 with the Young Guns. I feel like we can be very competitive. I feel like at least 3 might have a breakout season quickly. Obi and Cam. Also, don't sleep on Grimes. I agree, man. You don't know what you have until you play them, and that's what Thibodeau's downfall was last year. Thank you, G-Man. Great point. Kerry Cooper, I think Brunson is a closer. I think he is. I think he's the guy who doesn't need to score, but if he has to, he's done it in the playoffs. He has playoff experience. I agree with you, Cooper. Thank you. RJ will take the step forward as well. I think so. I think he can be as good as Donovan Mitchell and a better defender than Mitchell. Remember, Barrett plays the best player. He defends the best player in every game. So let's see what happens. Let's see what Barrett is made of this year. He is the key. The last 5 minutes of the game last year, Mitchell was rated at the bottom. Nick Yak, I don't know the numbers on that. You may be right.
He had a bad series. That's basically it.
Let's see what happens. Mitchell would be a godsend coming to New York. The question is, what are you going to give up for him? Thank you, Nick Yak. Legacy. Yeah, I agree. He is a closer. What did Utah ask for RJ? I thought they said they didn't want him.
We just recently, Legacy, Ian Begley reported it today. If you look up Ian Begley, he basically states that although the Jazz have interested in RJ, they're willing to pay RJ Barrett's contract. That's the latest, but they want RJ and 6 to 7 draft picks, and I'm hearing even 8, and they'll pay for his contract extension. But the Knicks don't want to do that. They walked away from that 2 weeks ago. So this I think was leaked today, even though it was discussed a week ago. I think it's getting leaked out today from somebody's camp.
Thank you, Juby. Appreciate that. Thank you, Legacy. Nick Yak, if that's the pick alone, I wouldn't give him more than 3 because the fit pushes RJ to small forward where he struggles. Yeah, Nick Yak, I think Barrett's a special player. I don't know how much he struggles. I think overall last year he had his up and downs. The second half of the year he came. You saw the real RJ Barrett. So yeah, Nick Yak, I think you can play him at the 3. You can definitely play him at the 2 as well. And he's a big guy. Eventually, down the road, you can play him even at the 4. Like what Carmelo did toward his ending of his career. I mean, look at Barrett's a big boy. He can play probably 3 positions. So Barrett's a special player. I wouldn't put Barrett in any trade right now, even though I know that we tend to fall in love with our players, our young players, like Billy says. But RJ Barrett is a special player, can be a Donovan Mitchell with better defense. Nick Yak at Brunson destroying Mitchell. Yes, Brunson killed Mitchell in that playoff series. Johnny Davis, welcome, my friend. Welcome. I think as of now, with Brunson and Quickly, I think we have a very intelligent backcourt. I agree. Thank you. Thank you, Johnny Davis. Appreciate you. Nick Yak, I think as of now, Brunson and Quickly, I think we have a very intelligent backcourt. I think we said that. I know we have Mitch and RJ, but I think Obi will have fun this year and runs like a gazelle. I agree with you. I think he is going to be something special, Johnny Davis. Thank you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate you. Juby, right now, looking at the Knicks, let's just take Donovan Mitchell out of the equation. Do you see, I know you talk about Melo coming here. I think if you stay with Obi and Randall, I don't see Carmelo Anthony coming here at all. So do you see Obi getting 20-plus minutes a game with Randall being there? Can you play him at the same time on the floor? I don't think that you can play him on – I think Tibbs loves his defense. I don't think you could play Obi at the 5. And can you play Randall at the 5? That's the question.
You can play Randall at the 5 with small ball in certain situations. I don't think we'll see Obi Toppin playing 9 minutes a game anymore like we did last season. I think we'll see him play 18 to 20 plus. In my opinion, I think he should be playing 30 plus. The kid is amazing. He should be starting. But that's for another discussion, another day. But as long as he plays 20, 25 minutes, and gets to play with the team, play with that second unit, because with Randall here, Julius Randle is gonna be starting. But as far as them working together and being on the floor at the same time, they spoke about it as teammates and say they can do it. Have we actually seen it for ourselves as fans watching games? If I recall, I've seen it once or twice last season, and it was for like a 60-second span. And we really didn't get much of an impression from it. So that's something that I think Tom Thibodeau can explore this season and see how that lineup will look like with small ball, with a Julius and Obi Toppin and maybe Evan Fournier, RJ, and Brunson kind of line up. Depends on who their center is, who their opponents are, and what kind of pace they want to play.
Totally agree. I just want to show another highlight from Barrett, how special this young man is. Check this out. Nick Nation. Special play in Barrett, man. Can Barrett be the equivalent of a Donovan Mitchell with better defense intensity? I think we shouldn't look at trading all our marbles for one man. We mentioned this before. Juby, I think we said enough, and I think right now we have to stay tuned with what's happening. As Sham says, and I'll put this one more time.
As of right now, sources tell me that talks between the Jazz and the Knicks around a Donovan Mitchell trade have stalled out. I'm told there hasn't been contact between the two sides in roughly the last 2 weeks. And Brooke, this is right now. This is current. These things can always be fluid, but this is where it stands right now. And clearly there's really no movement as of yet on the Mitchell to the Knicks front. But in the meantime, I'm told that the Jazz are continuing conversations with other teams that are interested in Mitchell, teams like Charlotte and Washington, I'm told. But overall, throughout this entire process, the Knicks have been the focus of many around the league, including the Jazz when it comes to Donovan Mitchell, because they have 8 first-round draft picks at their disposal to use via trade. They have a couple young players like Quentin Grimes, Obi Toppin that could be of interest to teams around the league, including the Jazz, in a deal for Donovan Mitchell. So all eyes will continue to be on the Knicks as a potential suitor, but as of right now, no new movement on Mitchell to the Knicks.
Okay.
Right now, listen, Knick Nation, it's time to walk away. It's time to walk away. Let's not get our hopes up getting Donovan Mitchell here. Can it happen? Yes. Do I expect it to happen? Probably not. I think Danny Ainge is driving a hard bargain. And we need to walk and just build this team and look at elsewhere. Look at other free agents coming out next year. Possible trades coming this year. There's always a disgruntled star somewhere, somehow. We still have the assets to make deals elsewhere. So let's not get our hopes up high, Knick Nation. Prezi, the boss. Good night, gentlemen. Prezi, welcome once again. Yeah, we'll be leaving in a few. Thank you, Prezi, for showing up. Billy the GOAT. I'm a diehard Knick fan. That's why I want us to have a star player to go along with good role players like Randall, RJ, and Brunson. Yeah, Billy, listen, I agree with you. Listen, we differ in opinion. What are you willing to give? And I know that giving RJ is probably no way. Giving an OB is probably not an option as well for you. But Grimes, is quickly an option for you? Billy, we have to realize that by just giving 8 picks and giving the assets just to make the contracts work, coming back, getting a player in Donovan Mitchell's stature, I would make that move, but we cannot give up OB Barrett. I'm willing to give up Grimes, Billy. I'm a diehard Knick fan, as Juby is. Juby, Obi, no. RJ, no. Grimes, possible. Quickly, possible. But as far as giving up the whole house to get Donovan Mitchell here,
Absolutely not.
it's time to walk. Fold your hand and say, hasta la vista, baby. So thank you, Billy. We have 3 good centers. We're not playing much of small ball this year. Yeah, we have pretty good. The centers we have, I mean, think about Sims is going to be something special. And Sims is so perfect because if Mitchell Robinson gets injured, Hardenstein gets injured, he steps in right away. And the experience he had last year, coming into his own and now coming in with a year underneath his belt, Sims is going to be a special player, Juby.
Agreed. I'm surprised Utah hasn't asked for him. I'm not saying that I would be willing to give him up. But I'm very surprised.
Yeah, you can't trade him until January, I think, because he just signed a contract. So you won't be able to trade him if you just signed him. So you won't be able to trade Sims at this time, maybe later on. But that's the reason why they haven't asked for him, because you really can't trade him.
Makes sense.
Nick Yak, thank you. Johnny Davis, now Barrett has the tools. If we can get a little Bernard King killer in him, dude is unstoppable. I agree. There's an intensity in him that I haven't. It's been sporadic, Johnny Davis. I agree with you. He doesn't have that 48-minute type of killer instinct in the game. Could be passive at times. And maybe that has a lot to do with Randall being on the floor, Juby.
No, I disagree. I disagree. I think it has a lot to do with having a point guard that can get the ball to him. I think it comes to coaching, Davis. RJ Barrett tends to get lost in the offense sometimes. The last 2 seasons, especially with Julius Randle, was chucking away at times. You saw RJ Barrett kind of take a step back and let the game go through through Julius Randle. But I think if Tom Thibodeau focuses offense, and I've been saying this since last year, the offense needs to go through RJ. Now I'm going to say the offense needs to go through Brunson to RJ. So in my opinion, Julius Randle should not even be a first option or a second option. I think it should be Brunson to RJ and then to whoever is the open man, and spread that floor.
I agree. Thank you, Johnny Davis. Prezi, what do you think about OG Anunoby?
OG Anunoby, good player.
I think he's the guy. I mean, he's the guy that Utah is after, man. I think
that's the dude from Toronto, right?
Yeah, I think
yeah.
I think he's a special player. Can the Knicks, can Utah look to acquire a player like that? I don't know, Prezi. What do you think about him? Do you think he is something to the Knicks can, well, not the Knicks, but the Utah could look for young players like Anunoby? He's going to be a special player. I think that's going to be the #1 pick next year in the draft. Thank you, Prezi. Nick Yak, I will take half of King. Bernard King was a special player, man. He's a special player. If it wasn't for that knee injury, he would have been great. Thank you, Nick Yak.
No respect.
No respects for Randall, huh?
No, legacy. I respect. Listen, even with the, I'm gonna say this, guys. Zen Ray touched on this last show. We said every man deserves a second chance. We all have skeletons in our closet. We all have done things, said things in our past. Nobody's perfect. I just think Randall, is time for him to understand that he doesn't have to carry so much load. So I actually want him to basically take a step back and let the offense come through him freely, not have to push things, not have to run that point forward that he's been doing the last 3 seasons and having to think he has to score 30 points for us to win. That's basically where I'm getting at, bro.
Johnny Davis.
Hey, super chat.
$5 super chat. Oh, brother Johnny, I very grateful. Thank you. Thank you, my friend. Johnny Davis, $5 super chat. The first one at Zenray Sports TV. We definitely have to work something out, Johnny Davis. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate your kindness. Thank you, Johnny Davis. So, Johnny Davis, Nick Nation, everyone around, Juby the Tubi. He's created his own channel. He's been having his own channel. It's been under construction. I'm going to put Juby the Tubi's information in my description. Check him out. His channel should come officially on sometime next week. It was under construction. Check out Juby the Tubi, family above everything. My partner, he has great stuff going on in his channel as well. And as well, we can't forget, we're going to try to get together with Die Hard Nick podcast coming up sometime next week. We're trying to coordinate. I want to thank Die Hard podcast for coming on. Legacy, Kareem, Smoking Nick, G-Man, Puerto Rico, my brother, for coming on. I appreciate Prezi the Boss, Smoking Nick, Kareem once again, Carrie Cooper, Nick Yak, Billy the Goat. Listen, Billy, man, I appreciate you, brother. Johnny Davis, once again, I want to thank you for coming on, Nick Nation. We're going on an hour now. Stay tuned. We're going to come up with more stuff here on this channel, and check out Juby the Tubi, family above everything. His channel is still officially under construction. Did some work on it today, so it should look pretty ready to go sometime next week. I'll put the description underneath as well. And Nick Nation, I just want to thank you, my band of brothers. Johnny Davis, once again, thank you for your $5 super chat. Numero uno, #1. Listen, everyone around the world, in the Caribbean, all my people from Puerto Rico, NYC, I just want to thank everyone for your kindness and just watching and bearing with us in terms of being on this platform for only about approximately 14 to 15 months. Thank you for subscribing and putting up your likes and leaving your comments. Nick Nation, my band of brothers, I just want to say, remember, never give up, knowing that the best is yet to come. With love, peace, and gratitude, Zen Ray out. Thank you.
Peace, everybody.
Never give up. Never give up. Knowing that the best is yet to come with love, peace, and gratitude.